Esho at Esho1 is his Twitter handle. Good morning, Ayo. How?
Very fine this morning.
Excellent, great to have you with us. Now, Lagos, of course, we've got you and the rest of the world joining us this morning as well for conversation. And you can join us on different platforms.
Yes, use the hashtag 981. Tweet at us at Smooth981FM. You can send a message to the WhatsApp. Through WhatsApp, our number is 08090. And Lagos, we're streaming live on YouTube, so you can leave a comment right there in the comment section. Lagos.
Into the first story, shall we? Somebody's been put on a watch list and he's not very happy with it. From the Punch newspaper, EFCC Customs placed Fayose on a watch list to prevent a foreign trip. So apparently his name has been circulated, not just with the Nigerian Customs, with the NCS Customs Service, but also with the police, a number of other agencies. And Fayose has reacted to this, Ayo, and said that, listen, it's not just political, but this is petty as well. I'm not afraid to face tomorrow. And then insert some interesting quote there. What are your thoughts on this story, Ayo?
It's a funny one I saw yesterday. He has already said he was going to
October 16th. EFCC said, please come in earlier, since there's no need to wait for October 16th. Why can't you come in on the 20th of September?
Well, true that. But I think this is not very nice, considering the fact that he was a governor. Okay, I understand that they could
still a governor.
It's going to, okay, yes, he's still the governor. Okay, until he hands over. What just interests me is the way this was done publicly, because this could actually might have been sent out, and the media wouldn't need to know about it. I don't see much about this. This investigation had been going on for a while. We know that he has the immunity, and because I don't see anything wrong in this. I just think done is send the information to the agencies, put them on the alert if they want to, but they didn't need to make it public. But this was deliberate, I believe.
Well, who did the EFCC then made it public, or did the press pick up on? Because you're right, how did this end up in the page? It was a circular that was sent out to us, and as you mentioned, I guess to an extent, perhaps it's within their right.
I feel like this was deliberate. It was sent, yes. They would claim that it was leaked, but I strongly believe that this was definitely deliberate, to shame, if I can use that.
All right, thank you very much for that, Ayo. Cheta, let's move on to this next story, and it's one that obviously came out on Friday night. People have been reacting to it ever since then. It's about the resignation of the minister, Kemi Adeosun. The president has accepted her resignation. You can go see details of the letter over at the Premium Times and really a number of other national papers. She did write quite a lengthy letter explaining this, saying that, listen, with regards to the youth court, and I'm paraphrasing, she believed that she was in line with what was supposed to happen. She was misled, so on and so forth. Cheta, what are your thoughts, first of all, looking at who's been appointed in line? We're talking about Zainab Ahmed, who's in there as well. What do you think to have on the polity in general?
If I shoot Valentine tomorrow, I'll say I was misled.
Shoot, no, but you're to say that you there's a signature on a certificate that, according to the rules, should not have been given. She didn't get it.
Which is the point.
Yes, but she didn't give herself the certificate, and NYSC has still remained largely silent on
She
why.
remained silent for 68
I know,
days.
but I'm asking. So, in the interest of
And
looking
to
at
give her
everything
the benefit
wholly,
of the doubt, she claimed that she was not.
See, there's no way you can spin this resignation or this whole story as a positive. She has to have committed a crime. She refused to address us, her employers, for months, and then staying there enjoying the perks of her crime because she became minister on the back of this certificate. When it was politically expedient, because that is because she going into an election, she's tainting Buhari's brand. That's why she's resigning now. See, a crime has been committed, forgery. there are so many lines of failure in this thing. Let us, and it's not just her, brutally frank here. Whoever in the NYSC, whoever helped her arrange the letter for this, and because you remember the premium time about that some legislators knew about this and were using it to blackmail her. So if it is true that some legislators knew about this and were using it to blackmail her, then it is a big for her about this when Premium Times broke it. It means that she has known about it at least since October 2015 when she stood in front of the National Assembly.
Okay, sorry,
just
to point out some things. You said a lot of ifs, so let's stop saying it as though it's a certainty. You're saying ifs, if you knew, if they knew, if it was true, if so, and then you go on to say as if certainty. The other question I want to ask is, what does this say about
I'm
nation?
only saying if in order to be politically correct.
Well, because we have no facts, so it is an if.
She admitted that there was a forgery. So
it is no. She didn't
but at
admit
the time, the Premium Times claimed that she was being blackmailed. We don't know if that part is true.
That's why for those ones
let us clarify something. Until we understand, first of all, is it a genuine certificate? NYC has not said. They have not explained how a signature. Thank you. So which goes back to the point of there is nothing that had accepted. Another question related to this issue, and because
what does the NYSC Act say?
Cheta, can I finish, please? Thank you. The other question now is, we know what the act says, which is if you've graduated if you graduated after 35, not even 30, I believe it's 35, then you can apply for the exemption. She did it beforehand. Story. But let's carry on.
So how did she get? What's so special about Kemi?
I wouldn't know that is the issue. Now the question I want to ask, is because you've been very strong and very vehement in your castigation of this person. Look across the spectrum of Nigeria, including our legislators. First of all, people who have been accused of many crimes, including our Senate president, who is now running for president, including you and I, looking at papers that people have for their land registration documents, their car registration documents, their passports. There are many times that we have quote unquote facilitators that people use to say, oh, this is the process. I would really like to know if there's one person sitting in office or otherwise who has not used a quote-unquote facilitator, and you can genuinely verify. Cheta, I'm asking.
Yeah, you're asking, and I'm answering
you.
It is extremely unlikely that everybody, probably including your birth certificate, was not facilitated. But point, because
it's not
just because of a good idea.
It's kind of what it essentially says. What I hear you saying is, because everybody does it, then
that is not what I'm saying, and I never said that. Please don't put words in my mouth, Cheta. That is not what was said.
In country, as an example, because her country is the UK, her letter started with the fact that her first time she got her Nigerian passport, making her a Nigerian, was when she was age 34.
Which again,
in other countries. Follow, let me land. I let you land. In other countries, it is when the big cheese are caught that the law comes down very hard on them, so that it serves as a lesson to all of us that this is wrong. However, in Nigeria, the law doesn't come down on the big cheese; it comes down on the small cheese. So that what the effect of that is that all of us who are small cheese now begin to aim to become big cheese tomorrow, so that nothing will happen to us.
The law. Yeah.
If you had let me land, you would have understood that what I was trying to ask is, so at what point do we start to strengthen our institutions so that we don't have a pervasive, morally corrupt system across the board?
Thank you. Making sure that this person, then the next person, then the next person go in for it when they are caught. Yeah. We don't draw the line and say, because letter, blah blah blah.
You still didn't let me finish the questions, but we now have to move on because there's no time. On to our next story. We've got this one in from Ambode battles Sanwo-Olu for Lagos and APC guber ticket. All right. So last night, apparently, he was fighting the odds. Our current government term ticket in the APC after his subordinate has been angling to unseat him again. These are the stories that are out in the papers. But Ayo, your thoughts on this one?
Apparently, Ambode is still in murky waters. He was interviewed, I think, 2 days after the real information was on the internet about him being unseated. and he said he was in good standing with Asiwaju. But apparently, from the story we're getting here, if it's anything to go by anyway, it looks like things are not yet for him, because you know what they say, that they say when they, yeah. So but what I'm saying here is, from the information we have here, Asiwaju is, we're told that the president, the vice, and the APC chairman had a meeting with Asiwaju, and then they were fine. But what they're saying is, even if Asiwaju is fine with him, the foot soldiers are not, meaning that most likely must have stepped on it, and they're claiming that you're a bid of Aregbesola for the Lagos West Senate ticket. Now, of course, I don't think Aregbesola wants to run as Lagos West Senate ticket. I think it probably is candidate, and they're claiming that it's at that point that he started having issues with the camp, and now 57 local governments and the majority of the legislators of the House of Rep are not in support of him. Now, the names that were at the...
It's not confirmed that they are not in support of him. It's just
according to these names,
the antics that they're playing out.
From what we're saying, from this information that we're getting, declaration of Sanwo-Olu, the people that were present there to support him. So these are the things that we're using to judge. Now, we would never really know what their real thoughts are, but from what we are saying here, it looks like of the APC people are not within. And one interesting part I noticed about the statement was that, I'm talking of Sanwo-Olu now. He said, loyalty, in my view, is the currency of politics. People of the state and leadership of the party. Perhaps the loyalty is what Ambode was lacking.
All right, we've got to move on. Our next story is in from the Punch newspaper. The Osun lawmaker's nude goes viral as a court remands alleged blackmailers. From the Punch newspaper, that's where this one comes. So, shocking disbelief trailed the release of a 13-second video showing the majority leader of Osun State House of Assembly, Mr. Timothy Owueye, stark naked. Now, this clip has been making the rounds, and it is being queried by some persons over what he was looking for in the dead of. I mean, it's rather curious stuff here. What are your thoughts on this story, Ayo?
Okay, so I'd like to ask you for any law against indecency in Nigeria as of today.
It's indecent exposure. I do believe
Do we have
that
that
there is
in Nigeria?
I do believe so. I
Okay,
would have
so
to check the codes. But
if that exists, so is in violation of that. Other than that, if this story was anything anyway, the second part shows that they are claiming that there was a form of blackmail here, and that they've been able to recover 9 million, and then later they said 10 million. The other question I would like to ask is, has the state police confirmed that people are we don't know that, do we? Do we have any intel on that? No, we don't. Anyway, the part I really like to point out to is we in Nigeria, our constitution states that we have freedom of religion, but we kind of pretend as religion. If his form of religion, which is the traditional form, as long as not human blood, it's okay to practice this religion, whether he wants to bath with blood anyway, except indecent exposure, of course, if that law exists, which I doubt. I've not seen it anywhere.
But in the context of the story, it seems as if he was kidnapped at some point. He was blackmailed to strip himself in the dead of the night, and there were some people who actually hid in the corners to take pictures and videos of him. So,
but the thing is, that's why I was asking if you have any intel from the state police to confirm that there were some people that were arrested, because it looks like they're just trying to cover up the story. However, I'm saying that even let's assume that he was actually out there to have to battle, he's right. And I don't know why. Generally in Nigeria, once people do stuff that are not Islam or Christianity, people go AWire. But that shouldn't be, because there are different other religions that can be practiced.
Okay, we have to move on. A few messages have come through. MI from Akoka says, so he gave the anti-graft agency a date where he would visit their office for any inquiries. For some, it was too good to be true. This memo could have been more discreet. Besides, Peter is a rock, and rocks don't move that easily. Bagwengu says those calling over the fakes would have called her a deal, a political witch hunt if she were a member of the opposition. Let's not, for a lot of people, their vehicle plate numbers may be fake. It shows the level of decadence in our system. IK asks, what am I clarifying, saying, addressing me directly on Adeosun? The woman has resigned, so let's not get disingenuous with this story of other people forging documents.
Move on to this next one now about the floods of the country. Very briefly, in 2012, where 363 people in Nigeria and displaced over 2.1 million people. So it seems from this story that based on the president's directive, following the warning from the agencies, environmental agencies, that this might be a situation that will be impending this year. So the National Emergency Management Agency has received 3 billion naira from the federal government looming flood disasters following a red alert issued on September 7th by the National Hydrological Services Agency. The director, Mustafa Maihaja, Director General, made this known on Saturday, and in the same vein, he inaugurated some zonal emergency operation centers in different parts of the country to try to check this flood. This is a country. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
Well, at least for once, we're seeing some proactivity. I also think that the president did a good thing in ceding his powers to NEMA.
And they also mentioned that there's a point of many Nigerians, the rains are going to be continuous rain.
That's the kind of language you don't want to be hearing coming out in this kind of thing. So the only thing I would tell these people is be careful.
Thank you very much. We hope that the situation really is addressed and the federal government accedes to some of their requests and they see eye to eye on certain issues. We'll move on to this next story. Ayo, I'll move to you for this one, for your take on this story. OsunDecides, as we approach the election that's coming for the scheduled election for Osun State for September 22nd. The Nigerian police force said it has deployed adequate personnel for the Osun governorship election. The statement from this force spokesman that police has directed a robust
which is a good thing. I'm still thinking how that's going to be done, because the idea is for them not to go into the polling booth.
Restrictions within the really it was just. Do you think that
it can will be, because the idea is they'll tell you to take a picture of you putting your thumbprint on the particular party, and that is to collect your money. So they have to stop it.
They expect that as a Republican act like this, that follow.
This thing is that on 130 2010 for accept inducement is 100,000
on the individual.
Both parties accepting offense. So if you're using, it's 100,000. So the fine itself is ridiculous. I don't know, but so there's an option of a term of 12 months or both, but I don't good enough.
You have to come up with something banning people's phones. It's a fundamental. Some things are fundamental rights. The right to communication is one of those. And besides, given our own electoral experiences, there's a reason why people were encouraged to take phones to election booths, which is we use them to follow results, people photograph their results and send. I mean, it helps to verify the authenticity of results. When we shouldn't be putting in a measure that will take our elections backwards.
I totally agree with you. I think it's just lazy thinking. They need to think up something better.
Thank you very much, Ayo and Cheta. Cheta, I'll come to you for this next story from Punch newspaper. It's about banks. Now, CBN, the governing body of all the banks in Nigeria, said that any failed Nigerian instant payment transaction not reversed into customers' accounts within 24 hours based on complaints of the sender or beneficiary will attract a fine of 10,000 naira. And they also put some, punitive or rather measures to, stall as part of the discrepancies like that, including the NIP transfers into beneficiaries' accounts. Cheta, take us through this story.
Well, this particular one is, considering if, has action that I'm going to actually go back when I get back to Calabar, as in, then it's twice. Having the fact that right now, fact is that I don't think it's a transactions fail for various reasons, and many of these reasons are beyond the control of the banks. So why should a bank be penalized for something that is beyond its control? So, for example, there are times when there's a network failure. That's beyond the bank's control. So what happens? You penalize the bank for a network failure that is entirely beyond its control.
The telcos should also be penalized as well, based on your own view.
See, what should be all this penalty, because we'll start doing zero. Is what we should do is something, tighten the dispute resolution process if such a failure occurs. The main thing is that dispute resolution, and then ways to refund efficiency in ensuring that when such things happen, they are caught. Otherwise, the banks to just shut down.
It's going to help the banks, which is usually is between to help them make a better way of. That's how things. Well, it's a good starting point.
All right, thank you very much. We'll move on to this next story now, talking about banks and still EFCC. They said the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has lambasted in the story. That's use of words. Anyway, lambasted the HSBC Bank days after the bank, that's the HSBC, predicted that Nigeria's current economic struggles look set to continue if President's second term in office. Cheta.
Well, the fact that first the presidency blasted them on Saturday and talked about Abacha loot that was in the bank, and then EFCC has done the same and said we will not rest until we recover bank. All of this they send out a very bad signal. The first badness of the signal, as it were, is the fact that come on.
Thank you very much, Cheta. And that's the last story.
Indeed, on that note, we've come to the end of Freshly Pressed just in good time. A big thank you to everyone who sent in messages. We do appreciate them. Unfortunately, we've literally got no time to go through these additional messages. But do stay with us because, of course, in the final hour of Smooth Breakfast, we'll be going into one of the stories in more detail. And coming up at 8:15, we'll be talking sports inside of the locker room. Good morning, Lagos.
Get quick access to loans from
10,000 times 100.
Times 100.